just once again like to thank everybody for being here. And I think that we can all kind of agree that one of the strong points of the agent system is the number of reports that we offer and their particular flexibility. Not only do you have a large number of reports available in various different places throughout the system, but you also have the ability to customize many of those reports to suit your particular needs in your different departments and as you go through your different seasons. There really isn't enough time today to review all of the various types of reports and their uses. So I've kind of been asked to focus on the back office process and what we have available that can be helpful with that. I'd like to start by reviewing a handful of reports and procedures that should be helpful in your daily, weekly, and monthly accounting routine. And it's been my experience in the operations and back office of vacation rental companies that by paying attention to these reports on a regular basis, my life was much easier, and my month-end process and my staff's month-end process went much more smoothly. So in order to kind of familiarize you with some of these reports, we're going to show you where they're located or where they live in the system and tell you a little bit about them. We may not be able to dive too deeply into all of them, but I have a feeling that most of you have seen these and they're probably using them to some extent. As we go through, if you have any questions, you can post those up into the chat in the GoToMeeting webinar. If we have a moment, we can get to those after we're done with the presentation. But please feel free to send any questions you have to support@barefoot.com, and we'll be happy to help. So to start off, we're going to address two items that we think should be done on a daily basis. First, if you're accepting check and/or cash payments, you should be using either the daily cash report or the payment transaction report at the end of every day to reconcile your actual payments in hand, what you physically are holding, to what has been recorded in the agent system. You'll find the daily cash report in two different places. You'll find it, your reservationists can find it in the folios menu, and your managers and accountants can find it in the accounting daily reports menu. The payment transaction report, I think Mike had already just highlighted, that's in the accounting banking operations menu. These two reports will show you the same basic information, just organized a little bit differently. And it's one of the nice things about the Barefoot system is that we do have reports that show you the same information, but you might find that one is more applicable to your day-to-day job, and another one might be more applicable to somebody else's day-to-day responsibilities. So these two reports, when you run them, you can choose to see all of the daily activity, or you can choose to select specific payment types. You can narrow it down to just a particular agent if you want to see what one person has done for the day, or if you want to get an overall picture of what's happened in the payment transaction world, you can leave that blank and it will choose all of the agents. In this particular page, if you'd like to select more than one payment type, you would use your control key and click on each of the payment types that you would like to report on. We also recommend that you should be verifying your credit card transactions. And to do that, it's a little bit more difficult, but not terribly difficult. When you have checks and cash, you're looking at them on your desk, you have them in your hands, and you can track that back to your payment transactions and daily cash report. With your credit cards, you're probably going to need to check in with your credit card processor through their portal, or if they send you emails about daily activity. And you could go retroactively, today I could go take a look at yesterday's credit card transactions in the system and compare them to what was reported by my processor. This flows pretty nicely into the next daily responsibility that we think is very important. The second process is deposit slips. We suggest and highly recommend that you create your deposit slips on a daily basis based on your transaction activity. If you don't have transactions for a day, you may not have a deposit slip. But if you're in a busy part of your year where you're making and taking a lot of payments, then you'll probably want to do this every day. This will aid you greatly when it comes time to complete your monthly bank reconciliation. The deposit slip process is designed basically to allow you to create a one-to-one match of your daily transactions as they're deposited into your bank account. That way, when you go to do your bank reconciliation, you already have all that work done, and your bank reconciliation process should be pretty darn easy. If you're not currently creating deposit slips, we strongly suggest that you start. It's a great way to verify that what you've posted in the system has actually been deposited into the bank. If you're not currently using them and you want to start, I just ask that you let us know, and we'll schedule a time to get to work with you. So next, I want to move on to some processes that we think should be done weekly. And we think they're all these next sets of reports are pretty important. The first report may or may not fall into the responsibility of the accounting office, and it may be a reservation agent or a manager's task. But either way, it's important to stay on top of because it has to do with receiving payments from your guests. So we want to talk about making sure that you're collecting all the money you should be from your guests. The two reports can be run by any agent role, whether it's a reservationist or a manager or an accountant, because they're found in that Search for Folios page that Mike's got up on his screen right now. So we want to take a look at the Due Now report first. This one is specific to collecting money from tenants in folios. There's one specific field to use when you run this report, and Mike's highlighting that right now. That's the due date, and you'll see to the right where it says that it's for the Due Now report. It allows you to choose the due date you want to search for. I know that sounds pretty basic, but it's the same basic logic as the date that you would use in your batch management process, in that it will search for any folio that has a balance due on or before the date that you choose. So if you're looking for, you may run this report a couple of different ways. You may choose to run it for just today's date to see what's due up until today, or you may want to take a look at what's due in the next week, as well as what's past due. So you might want to come in and take a look at this report if you're not using it, and play around with those dates and see how that could be helpful for you. If you're not using the automated email tool to send out payment reminders, this is a great way to get yourself a list of people that you want to send an email to, and do it from that search result page. The next report to check is the Folio with Balance report. If any of you out there are first resort users like I used to be, this would be similar to your Checkouts with Balance Due report. There are three actual fields that you need to fill in to use this report properly, and Mike's highlighting those. The first is the balance due date, and then the balance type, and the balance due to from. How I would use this in getting ready for my either vendor or property statement processing would be to choose today's date and to look for any non-zero folios and to select the guest or tenant in that next field. And then once you run that, you'll be able to see who might be in-house, who might be leaving, who might be in your property statement batch that you need to capture, and you want to get them all paid in full before that. It's actually a pretty versatile report. For example, if you want to find folios that potentially have a security deposit due back to the guest, you could change the parameters up a little bit and choose less than 0. And in the Provides Service field, choose your security deposit field or service. We found that this can be really helpful in returning security deposits on time. We recommend that you use these reports basically twice, that you're running them for all active folios, and then run them again for your canceled folios so you know you're not missing anything. From here, I want to move into more accounting-specific reports that are actually found under the Accounting tab. And they're going to be in your month-end report menu. And I want to talk about doing these reports or running these reports in a specific order. The first report that you would run would be the Unapplied Payment Report. This report will let you know if you have more money paid into a folio than you're expecting to collect. It will also tell you if you have entered any refunds to a guest that are not recorded correctly. You need to remember that for refunds other than security deposit refunds, you need to change the refund type to overpayment and associate it to the original payment from the guest. And if you don't do that, you'll find that you get an unapplied payment error in your folio that sometimes people kind of gloss over and leave that for somebody else to deal with. And that's when you'll find them in your unapplied payment report. And you can go in and fix up any folios that have more money on them than they need to have or have not been issued a refund correctly. From there, we would ask you to go to the payment mismatch report. This is a little bit different. It will show you if you have any folios that have services that have a different amount in the payment schedule of either the bill or the invoice that's different than the original amount of the invoice. This happens fairly infrequently, but it's always a very good report to check. The reasons for why that might happen vary. So if you find yourself running this report for the first time or going forward through time and you aren't sure how to interpret the information that's on it, just please, once again, reach out to your support team at support@barefoot.com. The last report in this trio is the no due date report. I run this report last because if you've gone through the cleanup process, you've made sure everybody's paid you, your folios have zero balances, you don't have unapplied payments, your mismatches are fixed, you're now ready to check and make sure that every service in those folios that have a zero balance have a due date. Remember, if a folio is paid in full, every service should have a payout date. If you don't have a payout date in a service when a folio is paid in full, basically you just need to fix that and have it available for your vendor and owner batches. Once you've worked through all of these different reports and gotten everything all cleaned up, your folio data should be ready for you to go for your vendor and property batches. If you're processing your property statements on a monthly basis, you'll want to use these same reports to get prepared for that. All of these reports should be part of your month-end routine. You can choose the frequency of using them based on your seasonal volume and on your processing frequency. Another part of the monthly process that should be included here is reconciling your bank account. I talked briefly at the beginning of the segment about deposit slips being an aid in completing your reconciliation. And I just want to stress the importance of reconciling your accounts within Agent. If you're currently not using deposit slips or the reconciliation process and you want some more information, please reach out to support and we can schedule some time to discuss it. Additionally, we have a group of advanced accounting reports available in many of your systems. I think that a good number of people are utilizing those reports. They're quite detailed, and there's really not enough time to get into too much detail at all on those reports, but we'll be organizing another webinar in the future to review them. So we've spent a good bit of time on the reports that are here to help you clean up your folios and get ready for your vendor processing and your month-end processing or weekly processing to your owners. But I'd like to kind of go back to the flexibility of the reporting that I mentioned earlier. And I want to make sure that you can control the content of a lot of these reports. And to point out that there are quite a few reports that you can customize to fit your particular needs. You asked, and we responded by adding new reports into the Search for Folios page and allowing you to customize them. I'd encourage you to be curious and check out the new reports in the drop-down list that you might not be using. There are a handful of them there, like the Arrival 2, Arrival 3, Arrival 4 list. There's some hot tub reports. There's an Arrival laundry report. Quite a few different reports there that you may or may not be using because you've gotten into your daily routine and you didn't necessarily need anything at this point in time, but maybe it would be helpful. If you go to the catalog, you'll find a list of reports in the Edit Search Results field. These are the reports that you have control over. And as you can see, there's quite a few of them, and that's a really powerful thing. A really powerful tool for you to have at your disposal. You're probably familiar, you may have not done this for a while, but you're probably familiar with the fact that you can change these reports up. I'm going to use an example that Mike has for the arrival laundry list. What he's done is he's gone over into the property setup page and added amenities for the number of different types of beds or sheet sets that you would need, and terry, the washcloths, bath towels, and then toilet paper as well if you're doing bathroom setups. Now, not everybody will need to use this particular example, but what he's done is he's gone into the arrival laundry list report and added those fields into the report by giving them a caption and an index. And now when he goes to run that report for an arrival date, he'll know exactly how many sheet sets and bathroom setups that he's going to need. You can see here all the different columns. Of course, those columns are sortable. You can add to them. You can remove things from them. And I guess one other example that I could give you is we've had lots of folks ask for multiple arrival reports because they need different reports for the different departments. You may need specific information on an arrival report for your check-in locations than you would for your housekeeping or maintenance departments. So we've given you that ability to create multiple of the same type of report, but base the search results or the report results based on what you need in different departments. And I think that's about the time that I have for looking at different reports. So I hope you really found that helpful. And as always, if you need help with this or anything else, your support team is just an email away or a phone call.
Coupons. One of the things about coupons, you know, most people will look at discounting rent, but in Barefoot you can do this with any service. So you can generate a discount or however you might want to deal with a service. Plus in this system, you can manage it so that if you wanted to have an owner pay for a portion of this coupon, you can. You can make it specific to property. It can be discounts, free nights, tickets, etc. So there's again a lot of functionality, and I think that you can also combine coupons with others. So if you're looking at doing something with coupons, this is something that we're very capable of doing. If you've ever looked at or ever considered rewards, especially as you look at you know, competition with hotels, etc., you can look at these rewards and set them up the way you might like to. They can be, that's not what I'm looking for. That's not there you go. So there's your res type name, and you can generate points by stay days. You can also points can equal a certain amount of dollars, and if you said you're only going to allow 20% of your total of your rent to be included in points, you can do that. Making a reservation, in fact, let me do it over here. When you're making a reservation, you also have the ability in Barefoot to add concierge or what we would call upselling. And when I've got to put a name in here, I'll do that very quickly. And when you go from a quote to a folio, if you want to have an upsell pop up, you can have that. That upsell pop up will allow you to upsell tickets, whatever you want to, travel insurance. That gives you a lot of capabilities here for adding services. And you can add those to the reservation, then finish your booking. So this is this pop-up is something that we can give to you very easily. Automated emails. If you're not familiar with how you can manage this automated email gives you the ability to name an automated tool. You can manage it by res type. You can put attachments to it. You can have it for folios and quotes, or just for folios, or just for quotes. You can set it up so that it would manage around different parts of the, or different times of your reservation: contracts, arrival, departure, first payment, your final payment due, and even when you cancel reservations. So there's a lot of ways and times during the reservation and after the reservation that you could use this. You can offset it by a day, by a week, or a month. You can give this to send it to the guest, to the tenant, or you could even send it to an owner if you wanted to. As usual, you can use bundles with this. You have these now. Newer tools that we also have is automated credit cards. And that gives you the ability to generate very similar to your automated email, gives you the ability to generate a credit card charge automatically based usually on when the final payment is due. So what we very often suggest is if your final payment is due 30 days before arrival, you might want to send an automated email 35 days ahead of time with a statement mentioning that we're going to charge your card. And 30 days before arrival, it will automatically charge the credit card. So your staff will not have to do anything, but it will automatically charge that credit card. And then on 29 days, you could send another email with the new statement saying, we've charged your card and look for it in the next couple of days on your credit card statement.